Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Korean Star League. It's your boy, Nathanias. In the top left, we've got the red Zerg player. You know him, you love him. If you're a fan of anybody other than him, you probably hate him. He's dark. Why? Why would you say that, Nathan? Well, because he beats all your favorite players. That's why, okay? Okay? In the bottom right, we have the blue Protoss player. He is Classic. Now, Classic was, if you ask me, he kind of seemed buried in his earlier match against DRG. I really didn't think that he was going to climb his way out. I really did not. And then all of a sudden he gets into a series against Gumiho, and my brain just goes like, okay, so Gumiho just had a great series against Estrella. Clearly he's ready for the TVP. And then Classic says, no, I'm going to 2-0 Gumiho. Make Nathanias cry like a baby, and then I'm going to go up against Dark, who can only be described as one of the greatest Zerg players of all time. Let's face it. Dark has been there. If you talk about the history of StarCraft 2, you talk about players getting to the tops, the ends of these tournaments, Dark is one of those guys that deserves to have like a final boss skin, you know? He's that monster in the distance that you know if you aggro him, your whole entire party is just dead, and there's very little that you can do. In the to quote somebody better than me, you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. He's got big Byun energy, in a way. That survivalist will grab a candle off the counter to whip at your head. You know, he's not running. He's not running. He's never running. Unless he plays versus CJ Entis Hero. Because I think they've probably been in the finals of this tournament maybe at least 3-4 times I've cast. Hero versus Dark here. And it is a best of 5 for the grand finals. So when he's up against Hero, Hero is kind of a psychopath. So he'll play more conservatively against Hero. But that might be the only Protoss player that Dark really respects. Because Hero has been... Yeah, I mean, he is. If you ask Nathanias, I would say that Hero is the great Protoss hope now, since MaxPax doesn't actually compete in tournaments, so he's like an online cup hero. But we need people that can actually go to the events to win for our boys out here. All right. There's no shade meant there. No shade intended at all. I would love to see MaxPax at a real event. I want some Protoss players to win. I want to see my Protoss boys on the scoreboard again. That's it. That's all I want. In an offline tournament. That would be nice. I'll also accept, there's going to be online qualifiers for DreamHack Atlanta soon. I would like to see a Protoss win those. That is also, to me, a reasonable request. Okay? Yes, I would like fries with that. Yeah, no ketchup. Barbecue sauce. Yeah, always. Yeah, it's me. I'm rather predictable. Void Ray's checking for overlords outside of Classic's base, and I didn't want to break this build down too much because we've already seen a lot of Classic's BVZ in this tournament. But if you're just watching this match, then you may not even be aware of what happened in the previous series. So I'm going to tell you now. He was going Oracle against DRG, Dongrigu, and it totally did not work. Just straight up.
It didn't work, my friend.
So instead, in the following games, he was down 0-1. It was a best of 3. Seems kind of scary against DRG. And then he did this. Okay, so he went in game number 3. He broke out this build against DRG. And I'm guessing that it's probably because we're on Babylon that he feels comfortable doing this. So at first he went double Oracle. Couldn't hurt him at all. Couldn't hurt DRG at all. And now, as we see here, there's a spore in every base. Dark is not going to take damage from this Oracle either. And the 2 Oracles kind of failed. Things kind of just snowballed out of control in that first game. And Classic got riggedy wrecked. And then he started doing this build where he opened up with, as we've already seen, the Adept, the Void Ray, the fast third base. And he still makes the Oracle after the Void Ray. But the primary function of this strategy is that he goes directly into 2 base carrier. And this right here is the real kicker, because I did not think this could possibly work. And he just moved across the map and basically killed DRG with 2 carriers as soon as it was done. So I'd like to see him chrono boost +1 attack on the cybernetics core. But maybe he feels like he's going to need to spend a couple more bucks trying to warp in or defend this base. Turn that Oracle Pulsar Beam on. Thank you. Thank you. There's a lot of links. Oh my goodness, the queens are coming out for Dark? Is this bait? Is this... I don't know what happens. I feel like with no transfuse, there's no way the carriers should lose this, right? But then there's... I mean, third base might be toast if the battery dies, because I think that's just a lot of links, but... Does he have a legitimate answer for the number of carriers that are here if he can't transfuse? Should he just wait for his... Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh, oh, man. Now I know I need another soundboard option. I need John Taffer saying, shut it down! Those Banelings absolutely blocked off. Now, okay, well, now everything gets in. I complimented you a little too much, Classic. That's okay. That's okay. You still have carriers. Third base is still alive. Queens are dying on the outside, but he just needs to hold on. Lings are going to try to go to the main. He's lost about 7 probes so far. He's not too far behind. Worker count is actually the same. He's got the same amount of workers as his opponent. What he needs to do is block this off. Yes, that's what you need to do. The Banes and the Lings are going to come over to the third, and right now, if you are Dark, your only hope if you're Dark has to be kill the third, make the transition back home. And I don't think that there is any possibility of that whatsoever. No siree. And now look at it. Classic has 4 carriers. He's got 4 carriers at the 7-minute mark. And there are 7 queens to defend. Their lair has only just begun. The lair has only just begun. There is not even a smell, not even a whiff of corruptors in the distance. So if you are Classic, I would have liked to see him still move the carriers across the map. I think he's worried about the Lings. He did turn around for them, so that buys Dark a pretty nice amount of time. Truthfully, the advantage that I think Classic enjoys right now is the tech. Maybe it will be hard with the carriers to push through all of this, especially since he doesn't have any upgrades. But think about the drone cost of making all of these spore crawlers. The Dark has not been able to take any sort of serious economic advantage. He does pick off a couple of interceptors there. Doesn't really lose anything. Burns a transfuser too. I think we just had a little Bane train, little Baneling run by. These carriers are going to go towards the north. You should get +1 for the carriers though. I'd still like to see it. Ooh. Spire is on the way. It has just begun, so that's a lot of queens. How many is that total? 11? 11 queens versus 4 carriers? Well, if we add in the spore crawlers, yeah, then it gets a little tougher. I like that he clicks on the drones though. Trade the interceptors for drones. Don't trade them for transfuse energy. And this is where he has to try and bounce between, but there are so many spore crawlers. And this does seem like the correct way to handle this. He can pump a lot of transfuse into that. Okay, there we go. See, he focuses down the drones. I think that is where he's starting to get a little bit of more value generated. Now needs to be careful that he doesn't micro the carrier to its death. And he does end up bringing them all back, so that's very nice. Zerglings try to poke the natural once more. Not going to be able to find their footing. Classic, his army is looking a little bit beat up. But not a huge issue. He's getting ready to transition away from the carriers. And literally, as I say that, he finally starts +1. Classic, can you make up your mind? My friends are watching. Yeah, I told them that I know about this game, okay? Now you're making me look like a fool. Because I talk about how you need +1 all game, and then you get blink and +1 ground. And then I say you're transitioning, and then you start +1 air. Now, do you see how that might be confusing? Do you see how you're playing with my heart? Okay?
Zergling's coasting around the outside. He's going to get eyes on that 4th base.
I think he can get the shutdown on it. The Lings are 1-1, so they do a lot of damage here. Very easy deny on the 4th. And I think that for Classic, maybe he's concerned about Baneling run by or something. Maybe wants to put a gateway right here if that's possible. Or a Sentry can tickle beam him to death. That's also okay. It's not against the law. Things worth pointing out. There is no infestation pit. There is no hive. So, if you are dark, you're pretty committed to this lair tag. You're basically just playing Corruptor Zergling. And he's getting roach upgrades and stuff, but they're not a factor yet. The army itself is quite literally 22 Lings and 11 Corruptors and 14 Queens. That's a lot of Queens. That's a lot of Transfuse. That's a lot of Transfuse energy. It's a lot of creep tumors if he needs them, but I have a strange feeling that creep tumors are not what he's worried about. I have a sneaking suspicion. So Classic is just gonna, now that he's tightened things up over here, he feels comfortable, finally. He gets to take that 4th base after having it denied a couple of times. There are 19 Corruptors on the map. 19 now for Dark. So he really is getting ready to double down on this. Just dive the carriers. Maybe try to pee on the main base or something while the ground army hits the 4th. I don't know. But he's gonna try and pull his attention a little bit. These Banelings are just gonna waddle straight through the Zealots. He's trying to get that pylon. Will depower a gateway and get 4 probes. Actually, a little bit more than I thought he was gonna get. A Tigi in the chat saying hi, yo yo. I mean, he's got carriers, archons. This is the way to do it. This is a nice way to do it. You don't really have the momentum on the Zerg side, but if you give Dark time, eventually he will get to a place where you're going to be a little bit scared. That is a lot. It is a lot of Corruptors. 26. 26 Corruptors. Does anybody know? 22 damage versus massive. What is 26 times 22? It's a lot. It's a lot of damage if they try to poke at these carriers. Okay, now he's down to 28 Corruptors. Looks like we had another little run by on this 3rd. It's been very well defended, though. He has the Sentry here, so as soon as he sees the attack, try to push through this, he can force field it. He can kind of block, but it's like your old favorite Flash player game, Bloons Tower Defense. You know, we all know the monkeys with the blow darts. The monkeys with the blow darts are obviously the best tower defense item ever, and then the one right after them is the photon cannon. And then I think the 3rd ranked one is one of those guys. I think it's the bucket guy from Plants vs. Zombies, maybe. Yeah, it's a multi-franchise record, you know. People compete for it. It's just an unholy amount of Corruptors, seriously. 27 of them, and now has to storm his own army as the Corruptors just jump right onto him, focusing down the carriers. It is an absolute bloodbath, ladies and gentlemen. Carriers getting poked, but the Corruptor count is beginning to dwindle. Only 6 remaining. There are still 5 carriers on the map, but the transfuses are off the hook. It's just a ridiculous amount of transfuse. He can't kill the last few Corruptors. He's going to get another one of that. So now there's just 2 carriers left with 2 interceptors. And a pack of queens? A deck of queens? Is that what we call them? Yeah, Dark's got a whole deck of queens over here. So he can pull those back, get more energy for the next wave, and there you go. The carriers are basically out of it. But he is still going to make more. He's getting +2. So that's the hard part. Because all of the Corruptors died, you're like, well, I want to rebuild my ground army. But at the same time, you also can't really afford to if you're going to make the number of Corruptors that you know you're going to need to turn this ridiculous game around. So pops a queen, takes a step back, has the obs. Just absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. The Dark has just been looking for opportunity to attack. Opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And now his Dark plan comes to fruition. He's going to pee on this Nexus. Okay, pulls the army over, does not manage to get the kill. Stasis Trap is going to hold some of Dark's Lings in the middle of those two bases, but look at this Roach Bane swell. He says, all right, send the Lings there, wait for the army to be in the wrong spot, just slam the Roaches in the front. This is a huge surround he's trying to go for now with the Lings finishing there too, but there's a lot of cannons and batteries. Corruptors come up, Overcharge. Overcharge is keeping the carrier alive just barely with that +2 attack. Just barely manages to get it all the way back up. Second carrier out of shields will get healed as well, and Classic. Sweet Christmas. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have zero frickin' idea who is winning this game anymore because I feel like Dark is throwing away ridiculous amounts of resources. But Classic, he's not holding with enough left over. It's the old Terran adage. If the fight is over and you still have Marines shooting and they don't have Banelings, you usually win the game. That's usually how you can check your win condition on a Terran versus Zerg. But for this game, I find myself unsure. Because Dark's army seems like it is struggling a lot to close the game out. So he has to do something else eventually, right? But Classic is also, it costs a lot to rebuild what he's been losing. But even he's been able to get his base count up. So moves like this start to become that much more important. Classic, third base under assault. And it's running a little bit of dry on minerals. He's gotten about half the gas, a little more than half the gas out of it. So how much does he want to commit to trying to protect it? Well, his fourth base is safe from the Lings, but that fifth in the top right gets canceled again. So he's just having a hard time actually getting that going the way that he wants. He's going to pick off one more Corruptor on the way out. He still has a big, powerful army, but his worker count has dwindled. The army supply is starting to slowly edge further and further in Dark's favor. And he's got chitinous plating. He's going into anabolic synthesis. He's getting all of the upgrades for the Ultras. So he just finished the Ultralisk armor upgrade. He will be going for the Ultralisk speed upgrade next. He was like trying to set up a mini surround, it almost looked like, but there's just too much. Zerglings are not very good against any packed together army that has Archons in it. But is he going to go for the base trade? Is that his play? Oh, Zealot! Zealot was not on hold position, but he did correct it in time. Warps in his Sentry to force field out. And now he has to choose. How is he going to play this? The carrier's getting a little bit exposed against the Corruptors. One carrier very close to being sniped. Only 16 HP, and it stands strong. He's going to try and continue to push through the field of Spore Crawlers now. Is there enough? Drops the Storm. It's going to hit his own guys even there as well. Carrier down to 4 HP. He's still going. The 4 HP, the hero carrier, continues to push at the same time. The Lings and the Roaches have breached the natural. They've breached the third. The main base is under attack next. Is there enough time for Classic to kill everything in a base trade? I don't think so. He's going to recall to the natural. Thankfully, before the Nexus gets killed, you can cancel recall with that. There's not much by the way of Corruptors to stop him, so he says, my ground army will kill everything. My ground army will kill everything, and the carriers will defend my base. Like they said, 4 hit points is all you need. Could you imagine, do you think there's any visual difference if you were on, you know, like if somebody told you you were on a boat, you're on like a nice boat, and they said, yeah, it's at 100 HP out of 100, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, that doesn't surprise me, it's a nice boat. But then you go on a different boat, and he's like, this boat is at 4 HP out of 100, and you're like, well, what? Is it safe? Should this still be moving? Is there nothing we can do to fix it? And they say, no, guys, no, not in this universe, not in this one. That carrier is going to be cruising around with 4 health until the end of time. Quite literally, unless it dies, of course. The carrier could also get destroyed, but it will never know. It will never know what it means to be a fully prepared carrier ever again. Now, the carriers that have only lost a little health, that's like, you know, the rec room got destroyed, but everything else is still there, so. They still got the beer fridge, you know what I mean? Yeah, he's going to have to find some Terran brothers to hook him up with the repair. But there's no Terran player to help him in this game, so that's why I say that. Canonically, when you win a ladder game, you just own that planet in your own like mini canon universe, so Ultralisks chasing Stalkers is not the way I thought that this game was going to end, while Carriers chase the Ultralisks. But that seems to be where we've ended up. There's only one Nexus left. There's no recall available, and there's no units here either. So I think this might be game. Dark can't kill this army. I think we all know that. He can't do anything against this. But it doesn't matter, because he doesn't need to. He does not need to. He is super dead. He is absolutely... Is there a probe anywhere? No, there's no probes. So these buildings will be it. These are the last structures that he has. And the Carriers just quite literally cannot kill those dummy thick Ultralisks fast enough. He just can't. He's just like, all right, I'm clicking on your buildings, bro. GG. No re. Dark takes game number 1. Now that is one of the most hilarious endings to a game I think I've seen in the Korean Star League. As far as the grand final goes, that's a great way to kick it off. I really thought Classic had it. His army got to that place where he couldn't lose, but he didn't think to himself, maybe this is when I build like 5 photon cannons behind my natural wall. Sometimes it Scooby-Dooby like that. So let's go to game 2. In the bottom left, we have the red Zerg player. He is Dark. And his opponent in the top right, playing as the blue Protoss player, he is Classic. He's got a probe going across the map. He wants to know what's happening. Maybe deny a hatchery. Maybe be just super annoying in general. That is what probes are known for. High school graduation, most likely to annoy everybody they work with until the end of time. It actually was voted the probe above all, even above the Widow Mine. Somehow they actually, you know, they saw the name Widow Mine and they just kind of assumed the worst. So nobody really wanted to give the Widow Mine any shade out of respect. So it became the probe instead. And here we are, trying to deny a mineral patch. I mean, is there anything more evil than that? Ah. Those are my minerals, Dark says. They're mine. Get out of my base. Go on now. Get. The probe says, no. I will continue. I will continue to deny your mining. I'm going to make your drones do all of these awkward movements around the patches, trying to find somewhere they can gather resources. And Dark is just... Let's look at the income tab. Does this have a meaningful impact? I'm seeing dips down into the 700s of income for Dark. I'm seeing spikes into the 900s for Classic. And it seems like those dips are happening when he denies him a mineral patch. So you can actually kind of see that it's not a lot, but it's maybe a few bucks. They're both saturated completely on one base, right? They're at that 16 number, so the extra workers after that don't give too much more income. And he's only got 16 mining minerals, so Dark is... Why am I breaking this down this much? Because nothing else is happening. Just enjoy the game. Look, it went all the way down to 700s again. It does something. It's not completely worthless. How much money do you think he actually denied? If the probe had been mining that whole entire time, it would have gathered, I'm going to guess, maybe 70 minerals. Maybe it would already be on its way to getting more. So that's the trade-off. You deny your opponent money, but you kind of deny yourself at the same time. Should break it down even further. I don't know. I don't know if we're ready for that. That's when the Zerg and Protoss police come in here and tell me I'm not allowed to pretend that I can analyze PvZ. You know, I would go, you go cast a tournament somewhere, you got like a 12-hour flight, and you just watch VODs of PvZ the whole time so that you can try not to be too biased and give good feedback, and you don't say anything positive about the Terran player all tournament, and everybody tells you you're biased anyway, and you realize prep work is a waste of time. Kappa. So it's an Oracle opening from Classic. We've had a couple of conversations about the way Classic has been opening in PvZ, especially in that series against DRG earlier. So since he's going for an Oracle first, if we assume that he'll do the same thing he did last time, as that Ling finally dies, then it should be 2 Oracles into What did he do? What did he do after that? Was that the Adept game? Is that the Adept game? The Resonating Glaive Adepts follow-up? I think is what he went for after the double Oracle. I might be crazy, though. That might have been the first Void Ray game. That's what happens when you cast games for 4 hours straight. They start blending together, or we're on to the 4th hour. They start blending together. I know, you guys thought I would only upload Terran games. Think I'm an animal? I just like StarCraft. So Dark's got his 3rd base. There's nothing there, so there's nothing that can really be killed. Maybe you want the Adepts to focus the larva, but Dark seems like he's spending that larva specifically first, so that's just a good heads-up play from him. You don't want to give the Protoss anything to work with here. If he wastes Oracle energy on 2 or 3 Lings, that's nice. He's making a lot more Lings. He's going up to 26. He's building nothing other than Zerglings now, and I don't know about that. This is it. He's going to be a Queen Ling all-in. I wonder if Classic has even realized this. Did you see the Queens leaving? There's nothing at the 3rd base, so some alarms need to be going off that his opponent is making so many Zerglings, because he needs all of this at home. He needs all of this at home yesterday. There's 2 Adepts and an Oracle to defend the 3rd base. There is an Adept in the wall of the natural. There is no shield battery here, though. Oh my goodness, the Adept had to take a step to the side, actually. That's terrifying. He's trying to wall off, but he can't. Oh, he times it. What? I thought the Lings were going to get through. Well, the Queens are here, so don't worry. This is the 2nd health bar. This is the 2nd health bar. When he picks up that obelisk in the corner of the room that you thought was just there for decoration, and you realize that this is actually the rest of the boss fight. There's a decent amount of Adepts, though, which are historically known to be pretty good against the Lings. Shield battery overcharge to try and help defend against the everything. As long as the Adepts are alive, though, with the Oracles, I feel like this is still pretty manageable for Classic. First Oracle is down, though. Shield battery's gone. Are the Lings going to make it into the natural? That might be where it falls apart. If he gets onto the probes, I'm going to get pretty nervous. Pylon at the front rips it to pieces. He chews through the cybernetics core. I mean, you should get the cyber core. You can't make Adepts if that's gone. Okay, cyber core is gone. The 3rd base is still here, but there's nothing mining on it. Like, this 3rd base doesn't really exist for anything other than he wants to have the... If this attack fails, if Dark ever has to turn around, he should be dead. But what does he have? 50 Lings, 7 Queens, and he just keeps pushing and poking and prodding. At this point, I would bring a drone out just to do a hatch cancel to spread creep, because these Queens are getting low. Yeah, he's just going to move out. Shades back. Picks off another one. And when the Queens are gone, then life gets a little easier for the Oracles. I actually like that he went back to building Oracles during that fight. He was able to get up to 4 now. So the Oracles can just come out here and hunt down the Queens. That's a really, really great play. There's not much in the way of creep spread as it is. But look at what Dark... He's still just building Lings. Are you kidding me? I almost feel bad for Classic now. Oh, man. He's blowing up his own wall, too, while this happens. All the pylons, the whole wall, everything. That's brutal. Savage, wrecked. The Oracles are really the anchor, keeping this boat from drifting out to sea for Classic. But he is taking a beating. I don't care how well you think he's defending this, but when you're having to run all of your probes around like that, it is not fun. Now, let's remind ourselves, even though all of this has happened, Classic is actually still up about 10 workers. So, Dark, is he gonna just do it again? Is he? Yeah, okay, yeah, that he is. If at first you don't succeed, 5S Z control click Zergling E, and that's where we are. So the Lings will try to get us around here on the Protoss army. The Zerglings are actually managing to get through the Adepts. What? The Oracles are running out of energy? Okay, there. The Zealot reinforcement is enough to stave it off. And he did finally build a handful of drones during that, by the way. He did actually make a handful of drones. So it's 45 to 44, which I still think is actually ideal for Classic. I still think this is a great spot for him. His third base is already established. He can just immediately chrono boost and push it out. Truthfully, the biggest thing he has to worry about now is the wall. The wall is a little bit of a problem. He just yeets the oracles through, clicking on drones. Almost said cyclones there. Then he runs out of energy on the other side. Lings do poke the third base of Classic again. This is bananas, indeed. Indeed. What a crazy, crazy series. This game in particular has just been nuts. It's very rare to see a Zerg player throw away this many Zerglings and Banelings to try and kill somebody in this matchup and fail this much. And then, I mean, it's not really failing, right? He was taking down the army. He took down the wall. He killed 14 probes. So it wasn't like it was for nothing. But it's just wild that he did a strategy where you would think that the Adepts shut down the Lings so well. And Dark, because Dark is he's a crazy man. He's an absolute, he's a lunatic, psychopath, serial killer of a Zerg player. He will still capitalize on those opportunities, even if his strategy should not necessarily work. That is one of the reasons why we talk about Dark being one of the best Zerg players in StarCraft history, because he is just that story, especially in the Korean Zerg side of things. There's a lot of events that we've had in SC2 that are less interesting and exciting if you remove Dark from them. He's going to begin to build some Ravagers. He's also getting Roach Speed and +1. We're not seeing that DRG level early Ling upgrades, which was a pretty big factor in that earlier series. So he doesn't have to worry about the Zerglings as much this game. But Dark will play those late-game tech-heavy compositions a little more straightforward, I think, than DRG as well. He's going into Pathogen Glands, which is the Infestor Energy upgrade. So we'll probably see some Infestors. That makes a lot of sense. But will we see the Hive? Yeah, he's just going to posture, right? He doesn't want to force the engagement yet because he doesn't feel like he has everything that he needs. But once those Infestors come out, and he's just making 2 now while he goes into Hydras. So I'm going to guess that the Lurker Den will probably start in the Hive soon. Yeah, I was going to say the Hydraless Den kind of becomes the indicator, since he'll want to have Lurkers for that late game. He's not just going to make Hydralisks into a player that's already got a bunch of Psystorms, because that would be a crazy idea. It would be a crazy thing to do. Overseer's going to come back outside here, get another discount double check on this base. Oh, he actually sieges up. So maybe, if there's no vision of the Overseer, then we might see Dark even drop a Nidus with his Lurkers later on. I don't think he needs to rush the Nidus, but I think the Nidus combined with the Lurkers, that is one of the most powerful moves that you can make. Gets the Revelation, so he can see a little bit of the army. I don't know if he's aware of the Infestors. He might have just barely seen them or crossed near them. But this is where you have to be so cautious, because one fungal into center mass of those Stalkers, and then the Biles will be raining down from the Ravagers. Lings are going to poke the natural once again, trying to see, as usual, if there's any space to get through. Not really much to be found. And Classic is going to try to move ahead. This is a big opportunity for our Protoss player. Dark does not have the Lurkers ready yet. His Lurker Den just finished, so he's starting them, but he does not have upgrades for them. These are just going to be regular Joe Schmo Lurkers. Nothing to write home about, so it will be very tough to defend, and now you can see that Hail Mary play getting called up. He's saying, guys, I think we're just going to have to chuck it deep and just hope somebody out there can get their hands on it. The Zergling counterattack. Look, this is very reminiscent of game number 1. You think about that overcharged shield battery, the exposed cybernetics core. Your opponent is making nothing other than Stalkers. He needs the cybernetics core. Now, classic. Earlier in this tournament, you blinked all of your stalkers into 6 lurkers, and they all died instantly. Please just recall. Okay, he recalled. Thank you. I was so scared he was just gonna blink onto those lurkers. That would have been terrifying. That would have been absolutely terrifying in the worst imaginable way. There's the zealot reinforcements though, and I think this has to be it. A big, forceful assault. A rather large, forceful assault onto this base of the Zerg player. Maybe try to get a run by while that's happening. I don't know. Not an easy one to hold. There's the storm onto the lurkers. And there it is. I was waiting. I was waiting for it. I was waiting to see that worm. So this is it where you want to have just enough defenses, just enough lurkers and units. Maybe you keep the lurkers in your base. Maybe the Nidus is for lings. I don't know. Okay, there we go. A lot of lurkers. It's all of the lurkers. Never mind. I take it back. Another worm immediately boots up. The Immortals are going to be able to get away, but another worm will open to allow them to escape. The Overlords are actually flying into the Psystorm. That is definitely an interesting maneuver, to say the least. He's going to get 1 lurker. 2 lurkers. Looking for number 3. The drones are coming off the mineral line to fight. And guys, I don't know if my heart can handle another base trade. We literally went down to the final building in game number 1. Classic says, yeah, I'm DTB. I'm down to base trade. You best believe I'm DTB. And he's going for it. There's still a lot of lurkers. Where's the Observer? Did the Observer die? Is it one of those situations? Do we have a dead obs? No. Still with the army. Still got the vision. Can see about 3 of the other lurkers. As long as you don't lose the Observer, then technically there's always hope. But Dark is moving drones. He's building spore crawlers. He's building spore crawlers inside of Classic Space. Yeah. When Cascada made that song about evacuating the dance floor, she was actually talking about this specific game of Protoss versus Zerg. Getting all the drones out. Getting all the drones out through the night of Spyfrost. Is Classic just going to lose all of his buildings again? There's 4 Immortals, but there's still lurkers. Did he get another obs? No. So his only detection back in his own base are the Oracles, which are also not really able to do too much because they're kind of zoned out by the spore crawlers. He's going for the High Templar tech now. Hatchery in the bottom right. It's just so awkward. The detection is a huge problem. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous the Oracles are going to die. These base trades are killing me. I feel like Dark's got this because he already beat him doing this once. But at the same time, Dark hasn't killed everything that Classic has. He still has the other bases. Yeah, I think the Observer just died there too, actually. So it's just the Oracles. It's just the Oracles for the detection. He's going to try and push up his own ramp into those lurkers, Psystorming as well, but so many lurkers covering this. He's zoned out. He's zoned out, man. Oh my. Well, enjoy the cinematicness of this fight. That should do it. Should do it here. Everything getting completely wiped. Lings pushing the front of the natural one more time. And he's going to retreat to that Nidus worm. But where is he going? Oh, I see. He says, you don't deserve a gold base. I'm going to kill you now, man. And Classic has all this money, but why can't he build anything? Oh, because his gateways were destroyed and his cyber core was destroyed? So all he can build are zealots. All he can make are zealots. Against lurkers. Yeah, it's not a winning combination. If you bring that to the potluck, people are going to accuse you of getting it from the shop right. You know what I mean? They're going to say you didn't bake that. They're going to say this looks like it was cooked 2 weeks ago. And you know what? They'd be right. Zealots, we talked about them. They're the only thing that can be built, so he's going to send a bunch of them down the southwest. What he needs to do with this gas bank is Templar Archives at all costs. All costs. There you go. Twilight Council, Templar Archives, Archons. He needs Archons. He could probably Nidus this, too, if the army ever pushes into his bottom left. Well, that is where the Nidus network is, Nathanias, so maybe not. He's got a lot of lurkers. He's got a lot of lurkers. Yeah, he's like, you're going to retake the high ground here? Nuh-uh. Is he going for the lurker den, though? Okay, that's a pretty good snipe. It's a pretty good snipe if it wasn't for the fact that I was trying to press the units button. Sorry. That's the second time I did it. He's trying to snipe the lurker den, and he gets it, but he has 15 lurkers. I know, I pressed P instead of the U key. Okay, guys? Okay? I'm trying not to miss the action with my sick observing skills, so I apologize. I do not see a way out of this for Classic. This feels like he's in a it's not happening quickly, so maybe a slow cooker of some kind. I don't know. Perhaps a medieval torture device. But there is no answer for this army anymore. A couple of random High Templar won't do it. If he was able to get some like huge amount of Immortal Archon and take a big surround after the revelation, I could almost see it. But all of the fights look like this. He's pushing up a ramp. He's eating huge amounts of damage. And even though he's going to kill everything here, the rest of his base is still gone. So he holds on. But now he's got 50 supply. So yeah, GG. Yeah, Dark goes up 2-0. And now Classic needs to win like 3 games in a row. He needs to win like 3 games in a row to have a chance here. Which is absolutely brutal. Instant pot set to porridge mode. Protoss porridge. What would that taste like? You think it would be like, what's my favorite grain-based breakfast that isn't pure sugar American cereal? Quaker Oats, green apple and cinnamon. Quaker Oats, apple and cinnamon oatmeal is pretty good. I'll take that, actually. That sounds... I think I might have some. I don't want the ads to run on the stream during the game, so I did use the delay there, but I'm going to pop those now, and we'll get into game number 3, guys. Let's see. Is Classic going to be able to turn it around? Or will Dark twist the knife? Not gonna lie, guys. It's looking pretty bad for Classic. It's looking pretty bad for my boy out here. He's struggling. He's going through it. He's going through it right now. He is going through it at the moment. In the bottom left, this man is just a monster. He is an absolute nightmare to play against. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Dark. He's Dark. He's tall. He's handsome. He's everything that you could possibly want in a Zerg player. His macro is magnificent. His control is kingly. And his perseverance, his constitution are just so powerful and incorruptible. Truly an Adonis of StarCraft. Dark. His opponent in the top left, people primarily, I think they like to make lots of comments about his chin or something. You know, I'm not really big on that space of humor, but I'll say that Classic is, you know, he's one of the few, the proud, the Protoss. It's been a very difficult series. I think when we talk about these maps and what makes it difficult for PvC, I always go back to that distance between the natural and the third. You know, way back in the day, it'd be a lot closer. When that Ling, Queen, Baneling push hits, when you have all those guys coming at you and you're trying to hold your natural and your third, on none of these maps are you able to hold both bases from one spot. Like, there is no ideal between the bases. Like, you don't make shield batteries here. You don't make shield batteries and cannons here. Because the equidistant point between both expansions is so far away from either base that, I mean, to me, that's like you could almost solve 90% of Protoss players' problems by simply going back to the old style of map design. But that's neither here nor there. It's very open, super open. It's incredibly hard to take a third base against aggression and hold it. So let's see what Classic goes for this time around. 2 games of sprinting into a brick wall. He still has some teeth left, though, so I think he's got enough in him to make one more run at it. Adept, Stargate, before Warp Gate. So you can see prioritizing, just getting out that next step as fast as he can. And I guess the next question becomes, does Classic go back to that Void Ray into Oracle, or will he just open straight away Oracle? That's what I want to know. I'd also be mildly curious to see what happens if he tries to go for the big Stargate again, but it didn't really work out in game 1, so. When the game ends with your +3 carriers attacking Ultralisks while they kill all your buildings and you lose, there's you gotta take that one back to the lab, you know. What's to quote one of my favorite actors of all time, you gotta take it back to formula, and then maybe you come up with something. All right. Now this game, it is the immediate Oracle. It's the immediate Oracle again. So no shenaniganery afoot with the Void Ray. No Void Ray Oracle into double Stargate, etc. Because I think part of the Void Ray opening, beyond the defense, is that you want to deny the scouting. That's the obvious. The obvious small dub of the Void Ray is that your opponent can't just send an Overlord into your base. They either have to invest in Overlord speed and then avoid you, or they get an Overseer, and even then, those aren't that fast. So unless you're getting an Overseer with speed, you know, but there's nothing to hide. There's nothing that really needs to be seen. So the Oracle in and of itself is also the scouting tool for the Zerg, because seeing it allows you to rule out a great many things. And then you start to think about what comes after the Oracle. But usually that takes time. It is a huge map. It's Ancient Cistern. This is the map that typically, it's a crusher of dreams and souls and stamina and charisma. It's a big heckin' chonker. Early Nidus. Okay, so Dark is saying, look, man, I'm up 2-0. I'm up 2-0 in this best of 5. I don't want the observer to be able to zoom in on this. That's how secret it is. It's so secret that if I hide the health bars, you can't even tell. You can't even tell that it's building here, huh? No, you don't. You don't know. You don't know. And I tell you what, if I don't know and you don't know, do you think Classic knows? However, in a strange turn of events, the Phoenix did end up going after it. So he's able to shut down that Overlord, but a Ling allows the Nidus to pop out outside the natural. And now I'm getting nervous again. The batteries, this is what we talk about. The batteries and the natural, batteries and the third. There's no good in-between spot, but the Nidus is on the natural. So I don't really think the third base is under as much threat. The Lings are still going to go for it. I don't know, maybe. He's trying real hard to just keep him guessing, and he's going to drop another Nidus. He's just going to keep opening the worm so he has multiple spots to juggling himself in and out of. Hashtag just StarCraft things. A man juggles himself. We are watching Pro StarCraft. Obviously, with the transfuse, going for the worm focus fire is a little tough. It looks like there was a pause at some point. Now we are all aware of that. And he's got the spines out here. So 3 spines. You send the drones through, walk the spines across, whatever you got to do it. And now he's got Classic in a death grip. I think he's 1 or 2 spore crawlers away from burying him here, because I see that just a little bit of anchorage against the full energy oracles, because there's going to have to be a huge dive here, right? Like, what else is there to even do? He does have an Overlord behind the main, by the way. Yep, there it is. There's the... I'm not telepathic. I'm just good at guessing randomly. So the probes and the oracles all have to go deal with the Nidus in the main. I think he's going to need to send that Phoenix back for it. But at the same time, these units kind of get caught outside. And Dark, he's just got to choose what he wants. Oh, the force field. The Stalker's actually stuck in range of the Spine Crawlers. That's brutal. Absolutely brutal. It feels so haphazard. It feels so thrown together. The Classic is actually mining off of his third base now, too, which I guess is a good thing. But he still has multiple Nidus Worms in his base, in his face, and there are Spine Crawlers as well. So when does it get easier? The overcharge is gone. The batteries are running out of juice. The oracles are running out of energy. We may be seeing the beginning of the end here, ladies and gentlemen. Dark is going to push through the natural expansion. The only other base with shield batteries left. He's going to push now that the probes are gone in the third. And if those Banelings get to the pylon and he's able to start knocking these bad boys down, I don't know. I think there's too many queens. There's just too many queens and spines here. There's just too many queens and spine crawlers. I think on their own they've just about got this handled. The Zerglings are the insurance policy. Not only are these queens just absolutely lit AF on the transfuse, but they have got so much support. So much Zergling space support coming in through the other side. Stalkers are going to try to work on the Nidus Worm here. I know I zoomed the camera out too much. I'm trying to be a little less seasickness for you guys, but as you can see, this whole entire screen is basically the game. Actually, this whole entire screen right now is the game. This literally everything is happening here right now. And now the queens will go home. Now that I've said that. That's why you build the insurance worm. That's why he's got Nidus Worms staggered for days. And he's spreading creep outside of his opponent's base, which, mind you, is even more annoying because let's not forget that his only detection is an oracle. His only detection is an oracle. There's no observer or anything like that, so no scans. And that oracle is dead. Yep. That'll do, pig. That'll do. And yet somehow Classic has managed to actually play through this game. I'm stunned. I'm legitimately floored. I really don't understand how we got this far. I really don't understand how Classic actually made this work to the degree that he did. I thought he was dead. Oh, another drone came across. Ooh. Yeah, Dark's been droning up back home. I think he kind of recognized the Stalker count was reaching unmanageable levels. But also, Dark has so many queens, right? And he was running out of energy from those transfuses that I think the smart move is to always delay the final fight if you're him. Like, take those trades, let the queens trade out their health and then transfuse, but now he's got 18 queens. He has 18 queens at home. So Classic is going to go into carriers, and I like this choice. I think probably the biggest threat. We know that Dark has lings everywhere, and he's been spreading creep from outside of Classic's base for a while now. But I think as far as like the big threats go, the Nidus should still be in play. You know, send an overseer around the outside here. You know what I mean? Maybe toward the top, across the top of the map. Try to sneak one in the back into this spot, maybe. Flood some lings. There is a decent amount of vision in the base. There's no vision right here. So maybe he could run a changeling up. I'm just fantasizing about more Nidus Worms now. That's what I like to do. And he did finally get an observer, so he's allowed to take his base back. That's nice. That's very nice. He can finally take his base back. There's still a creep tumor over there, but it's okay. He'll get the rest. He'll get the rest. Forcing the Protoss to do an F2 A move would be the way to stop them from clearing your creep in this situation. So you need to attack them, which is what he's doing. I like it. I like it. That's what I like to see. The Void Ray. Yeah, see? Notice how that turns around, that F2? I was about to say the best way to counter a Protoss clearing, the best way to counter anybody clearing your creep is any other counterattack. They will turn around most of the time. Classic is a diligent boy though. Is he gonna get the last one? We're gonna let that ride for a while? No. All right. Good job. Clears it out. Creep spread is largely stopped, but not really. It's mostly stopped. The problem is it is now spreading into his base from the other side of the map, so. Lings are hitting the third, trying to break through the natural. They do get the Stalker there, and a ton of Zerglings spilling into the main base, and the natural mineral line. Probes are getting pulled over towards the assimilator to try and hang on there, and he runs smack dab into some carriers. The Lings burrow, though! So now he's like, okay, I gotta bring my Observer back up here. He's got everything, and Dark says that is my go sign for the top expansion. Pretty decent feng shui as far as the shield battery photon cannon setup is concerned. There's not too much surface area, but there is enough for the Lings to kill them. I think he's got adrenal glands already off that hive. So these are your fully Giga Chad Zerglings. They only have +1, +2 is about to finish, but they have the attack speed upgrade, which allows them to just eviscerate structures. And he is just being such a nuisance. It's burrowed Lings here. It's burrowed Lings there. Every time that you think you're gonna get a little second to breathe, Dark is just, he's hitting you. He's coming back. He's coming back from the other side. Just look at this endless torrent of Zerglings. Just endless. 67 Lings on the map. Now going into Infestors, Neural Parasite. Not quite able to make it back into the natural once again. I mean, the carrier count is getting there. He's got quite a few. He's got +1 on the carriers. I'd like to see him start +2. Carriers and Void Rays go into the middle of the map to clear the creep. Everything else kind of slowly trudging along the northwest. Now, Dark is maxed out, and he does not have Corruptors. He just has his 22 Queens. So I'm assuming that his plan is to Viper Abduct into the Queens. Big Ling counterattack. Shield Battery is going to help, though. Hold it down. The Dark just clicked to make a hatchery in the bottom right corner. Yeah, he's just looking for bases now, or at least setting up flanks. He says, if you step onto the creep over here, I'm going to have a nice little pack of Lings ready to pounce. And when I see this many Ultralisks, even though it's just 3 of them, my brain goes back to game 1, the base trade. There's so many Queens. There's so many Queens. Oh, the Infestors have the Fart Cloud ability, too. Yep, right. So what do they take? They take 50% of damage from air. Oh, he abducts! Blinding... Oh! That's just filthy. Mind controls the carriers and then kills them. That's just absolutely nasty. Now Dark gets that cloud again over the Microbial Shroud, helping those Queens continue to push back the Protoss player. Beautiful. beautiful. Now the Lings counter that Northwest expansion one more time. These Zealots have had their work cut out for them, but the Lings, they're at 2-2 now. +3 is coming in soon, and the Classic is slowly losing his avenues of income. Dark, he's been mining. He's been sitting pretty. His bases have been largely untouched for the majority of the game. He's just been hacking and whacking and smacking and chopping that meat. Yeah, this has been an absolutely crazy couple of games. It's weird, because you wouldn't think that Classic is down 0-2 based on how well he's been playing, but he just cannot close it out against Dark. Dark just keeps getting these run-bys in. It's filthy. Yeah, they go for the Fleet Bacon, go for the Forge, and you see these Zerglings with that adrenal glands. They kill stuff so fast. You have to be so on point. Is he going to get the Forge? +2 is denied. He goes for the Nexus, but not quite able to get it. Those Lings are going to burrow. Oh, meanwhile, another push over on that Northwest 4th base expansion. Classic is losing the last fresh base of his economy to the Lings. This map is huge. I've said it 500 times. You keep your powerful, slow stuff at home. The Queens and Infestors have just been chilling here this whole entire game, waiting for him to try to push. And now that he's coming back up, he's going to readjust the army to the top of the ramp, hold him at the choke point. And this has just been a masterclass by Dark. How do you play a large map versus Protoss as a Zerg? You make 50 million Lings. You make 50 million Lings and you rush up that hive. Mind control on the Archons. They have turned against their Protoss brethren. And now they aid the Ultralisks in making the push through. The carriers just do not deal enough damage through the Microbial Shroud onto those Queens. And, well, we all know carriers don't kill Ultralisks, so you can spend an infinite amount of time trying to kill an Ultralisk that's being transfused with carriers. It does not happen. More Lings make their way over, and GG is called. Dark takes the Korean Star League 24 championship 3-0. Beautiful, well played. Don't forget, guys, you can always check out the Korean Star League on Matcherino and Patreon. They do take support to run these tournaments so that we can get top-level matches like this. 2 top Korean players going at it. We love to see it. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.